The war on Veltara had been going on for years. Two powerful alien factions, the Rovek clans and the Varn Dominion, fought day and night. Cities were destroyed, forests burned, rivers ran dry. The planet had become a battlefield filled with smoke, screams, and endless death. High above in orbit, inside a grand ship called the Crimson Fang, a group of alien commanders watched the chaos from their screens. They didn't care who won or lost. They only watched for fun. Drop the human. Now, said General Zavern, laughing. Let's see how long he survives. Yes, General, replied the officer. Initiating drop. The prisoner stood silently in the loading bay. His name was Cole, a human soldier captured during a border skirmish between Earth and the Galactic Alliance. He had been alone when they caught him, outnumbered and outgunned. Still, he had taken down 10 alien soldiers before they stunned him with a shock grenade. Now, the aliens were bored. They decided to drop him into the worst war zone in the galaxy, just for entertainment. They didn't expect much. They thought he would die in an hour. As the floor beneath Cole opened and his pod shot down through the planet's atmosphere, the aliens above watched with snacks in their hands and smiles on their faces. But Cole wasn't afraid. Inside the small metal pod, he checked the emergency gear, a combat knife, a small med kit, some rations, and a basic map of the region. No guns, no armor. Just him. He closed his eyes and remembered the training. Adapt. Survive. Win. The pod hit the ground hard, kicking up dust and debris. Cole kicked the hatch open and rolled out, landing in tall grass. Around him, he could hear gunfire in the distance. Explosions echoed through the hills. He took cover behind a broken wall and scanned the area. He was in the middle of Sector 9, a contested zone between Rovek and Varn forces. Nearby, a destroyed supply convoy burned, black smoke rising into the air. Cole didn't waste time. He sprinted toward the wreckage. Among the burning debris, he found a broken plasma rifle, slightly damaged, but still usable. He picked it up, checked the power core, and gave a small nod. It would do, for now. Minutes later, he spotted a Rovek scout team coming his way. 5 soldiers, well-armed, moving cautiously. Cole didn't run. He waited. He watched. When the scouts moved close enough, he struck. From the shadows, he took down the last soldier first, quick, silent. Then another. The others turned, surprised, but he was faster. Using the damaged plasma rifle and his knife, Cole ended the fight in less than 30 seconds. He now had more weapons, ammo, and a radio. In orbit, General Zavorn leaned forward. Wait, did he just take down 5 Rovek scouts by himself? The room went quiet. Cole changed into one of the ER scout uniforms and moved north, heading toward a small hill that overlooked the region. From there he could see everything. Enemy camps, ruined buildings, supply lines. His mind worked quickly. He had no backup, no command, no orders, but he had a plan. If he was going to survive, he would not hide. He would control the battlefield. Piece by piece. As night fell, Cole crept into a Varn outpost near the old steel bridge. It was poorly guarded, only 4 soldiers and a technician. They were drinking, laughing, unaware. Cole silently took out the generator first, cutting the lights. Then, in the dark, he moved like a ghost. One soldier dropped without a sound, another screamed, but was silenced just as fast. Minutes later, the entire outpost was cleared. Cole searched the base and found a working drone, small, fast, and perfect for recon. He also found more food, weapons, and a better map. He marked the weak points in both factions' defenses. Then he left a message. Behind, written on the wall in alien script, "You started a game, I'm here to finish it." By dawn, Cole had already taken down 2 patrols, destroyed a fuel depot, and vanished into the hills again. In the command room aboard the Crimson Fang, the aliens stopped laughing. General Zavern frowned. "What is this human doing?" "He's not running, sir," said the officer. "He's fighting and winning." "Send in more scouts," Zavern growled. "Let's remind him he's nothing but one man." But Cole wasn't just surviving. He was planning something bigger. He had already set traps along the main path toward the river. He had timed the enemy's patrol routes. He was collecting weapons, studying their language and using their own tech against them. In less than 12 hours, Cole had caused confusion in both factions. No one knew who he was. Some thought it was a ghost. Others thought it was a secret weapon. But one thing was clear. The war had changed. One man. One mission. And by nightfall, he wasn't just a survivor. He was the most dangerous force on the planet. The sun rose slowly over the broken land of Veltara, casting a red glow over the dead trees and shattered roads. Smoke still rose from the outpost Cole destroyed last night. The message he left behind had already spread across both armies like wildfire. The Rovek and Varn commanders didn't know what to believe. A single attacker. Fast. Silent. Unseen. Some soldiers whispered that it was a ghost. Others said it was a new weapon from a third army, but no one suspected the truth, that it was just one human. Cole sat inside a small hidden cave in the hills. He had set up a basic camp with supplies stolen from the last few raids. He kept his weapons clean, his drone charged, and his mind sharp. He stared at the map in front of him. The war zone was broken into sectors, each controlled by either the Rovek or the Varn. The two factions had been fighting so long that neither could hold territory for more than a few days. Both sides were tired, broken, and confused. Cole saw the weakness. He didn't need to fight both armies head-on. He just needed to break their command, cut off their supplies, hit where it hurt. And that's exactly what he was going to do. That afternoon, Cole made his move. He crept through the ruins of a burned-out village near Sector 7. He wore the uniform of a Rovek scout and carried a stolen rifle. His face was dirty, and his steps were silent. Up ahead, he spotted his target. A Varn supply outpost built inside a collapsed temple. It was a key point in their chain, full of weapons, food, and medical kits. Cole didn't charge in like a wild soldier. He waited. He counted the guards, 8 in total, 2 at the front, 2 on the roof, 4 moving inside the building. He used his drone first, flying it low to map the building. The Varn soldiers didn't notice. They were lazy, tired, and overconfident. Cole smiled. Their mistake. He set up small charges on the back wall of the outpost, hidden behind debris. Then he climbed onto the nearby rooftop and waited for sunset. When the sky turned orange and shadows grew long, he pressed the trigger. Boom. The explosion broke the back wall open. As the soldiers inside turned to investigate, Cole opened fire, from above, quick, sharp. No wasted shots. 2 soldiers fell before they even aimed their rifles. Another tried to run. Cole dropped him with 1 clean shot. He moved fast, jumping down and entering the chaos. The last guards panicked and fired wildly, but Cole was already behind cover, moving like smoke. In minutes, the outpost was silent. Cole grabbed everything, useful, ammo, explosives, medical supplies, and then set fire to the storage room. As the flames rose, he left another message behind on the wall. You left me here to die. I'm here to end your war. News spread fast. By night, both the Rovek and the Varn commanders had heard the story. Another outpost taken down by the unknown attacker. Fear grew in the ranks. Patrols doubled. Drones were launched. But nothing helped. Cole was never in the Sakui. Same place twice. He hit a Varn communication tower next, sneaking in through the tunnels and planting explosives on the main cables. The blast cut off signals between 3 sectors, causing confusion and delays. Then he took out a Rovek fuel truck on the road, setting up a trap using tripwires and grenades. He didn't just fight, he planned. He made the 2 armies think they were under attack from each other. Small gunfights broke out where there were no enemies. Trust inside the factions started to break. Cole watched from afar with calm eyes. Back in orbit, inside the Crimson, Fang, General Zavorn stared at the screen with growing concern. "This is not possible," he said. "He's just one human. One." The alien officer beside him looked nervous. "Sir, he's taken down 4 outposts, a comm tower, and several supply lines. Our scouts are afraid to land. Some want to retreat." "Retreat?" Zavorn growled. "He's one man." But in his heart, even the general felt something strange. Fear. They had dropped Cole for fun. Now it wasn't a game anymore. Meanwhile, Cole returned to his cave and began writing in a small notebook, keeping track of every move, every pattern. He had also taken a few prisoners, but he didn't hurt them. Instead, he fed them, spoke to them, asked questions. Some were shocked. "You're human?" one Varn soldier whispered. Cole nodded. "And you're not going to kill me?" "I'm not your enemy," Cole replied. "But if you come for me, I'll end it fast." The prisoner said nothing more, but later when Cole released him, the soldier ran back to camp and told everyone. "The ghost is real. He's human. And he's not cruel, but he's dangerous." The next morning, Cole looked at his map again. He marked out the next target, a field HQ of the Rovek army. If he could hit that, he could cut their command in half. He packed his gear. His eyes were calm. He was no longer just surviving. He was leading a quiet war, and he was winning. Dark clouds rolled across the sky above Veltara, and rain began to fall. It soaked the ground, turning dry dust into thick mud. In the trenches below, soldiers of both the Rovek and Varn factions shivered from the cold and fear. They weren't just scared of each other anymore. They were scared of him. The stories had spread through every camp. An unknown attacker, fast and silent, was destroying outposts, fuel lines, and even command posts. Some said it was a new assassin drone. Others whispered it was a ghost, but those who had seen him knew the truth. It was a human, and he was moving through the war like a shadow. Cole crouched in the tall grass near a muddy battlefield, his eyes locked on a Rovek trench. He held a stolen rifle and wore armor taken from a captured soldier. His face was hidden behind a helmet, but his mind was sharp and calm. He was watching, waiting. The trench was deep and wide, filled with about 30 Rovek soldiers. They looked tired, low on supplies. Most were just sitting with their rifles trying to stay dry. Cole didn't plan to kill all of them. He planned to break them. He placed 2 small bombs near the trench, one on the right side wall and one at the entrance where the command unit stood. Then he moved away and found a good sniping position behind an old tank wreck. He waited for the right moment, and then, boom, the first bomb exploded, shaking the trench. Screams echoed through the storm. As soldiers rushed to respond, the second bomb went off near the command center. Panic took over. The troops fired in all directions, confused and afraid. That's when Cole began picking them off, one shot at a time. His bullets were quick and accurate. He never stayed in one spot for long. After a few shots, he moved positions, making it seem like there were many attackers. Within minutes, the trench was half empty. The rest ran into the rain, shouting orders, but no one knew what was going on. Some even turned on each other. Cole slipped away, silent as ever. In a nearby Varn camp, another change was happening. 3 Varn soldiers who had been freed by Cole earlier returned to their unit, but something was different. They didn't report him as an enemy. Instead, they shared what they had seen. "He's not like us," said one. "But he has a purpose." "He let us go," said another. "He doesn't kill for fun." "And he knows what he's doing," added the third. "I think he wants to end this war." The Varn commander ignored them at first. But later that night, he noticed something strange. Other soldiers were talking about joining the human. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Meanwhile, Cole returned to his hideout and looked at the growing list of weapons, maps, and data he had gathered. He wasn't alone anymore. Over the past 2 days, a few local fighters, young and scared, had followed him. At first, he didn't trust them, but he saw something in their eyes. They were tired of war. They were looking for someone to show them a different path. Cole didn't give speeches. He trained them. He taught them how to move, how to fight smart, how to think like a soldier. He turned them into a unit. One of the boys, no older than 16, asked him, "Why are you doing this?" Cole looked at the boy and answered, "Because no one else will." Back in orbit, inside the Crimson Fang, General Zavorn stood before a large screen filled with red alerts and flashing messages. "This is madness," he said, slamming his fist on the table. "One human is turning the entire war upside down." "He's building a force," the officer replied. "Small but growing. He's uniting people who used to be enemies." Zavorn growled, "Then send in the elite hunters. I want him gone." The order was sent. 4 elite alien assassins were dropped onto Veltara with one mission: find and kill the human. But Cole was ready. He knew they would come. He left traps in the forest, mines hidden in tree roots, wires strung between rocks, and fake trails leading to nowhere. When the first assassin stepped on a pressure plate, the explosion took out 2 more. The last one came close, silent, fast, skilled. But Cole was smarter. He used sound decoys to draw the assassin into a trap, then took him down with a clean shot from behind. He didn't smile. He just picked up the assassin's gear and moved on. By now, both armies had lost more than just territory. They had lost control. In the Rovek trenches, officers refused to go out at night. In Varn camps, soldiers began to whisper, "Maybe we should find him. Maybe he can stop this." And across the battlefield, strange messages started to appear. Painted on walls, scratched into steel, written in the dirt. The ghost walks. "This war ends soon. One man, one purpose." Cole had become more than a soldier. He was now a symbol, not just of fear, but of hope. As the rain stopped and the clouds cleared, Cole stood on a cliffside looking down at the valley below. His small group of followers stood behind him, armed and ready. The war was still burning, but now the fire had a direction, and the galaxy above was starting to watch him very closely. Cole stood at the edge of the forest, staring down at the wide valley below. The sun had not yet risen, but the sky was turning a soft gray. In that valley sat a massive Rovek forward command base, heavily guarded, well fortified, and full of high-ranking officers. Taking it would mean breaking the Rovek chain of command in this entire region. Cole's face was calm, but his eyes were focused. His small team, 6 young fighters he had trained, stood behind him, waiting for his signal. This was not a random attack. It was a message. Hours earlier, Cole had received intel from a former Varn tech officer. The man had been captured by Cole weeks ago and released unharmed. Grateful, he began secretly feeding information to Cole's group. He told them about supply routes, weapon caches, and most important, command movements. Cole learned that General Sarek, one of the Rovek's top leaders, had arrived in the valley. If Sarek fell, the Rovek units nearby would be cut off and lost. Cole looked at his map and drew lines with his finger. He had a plan. He didn't need to destroy the whole base. He just needed to break its heart. That night, Cole and his team moved like shadows through the forest. They used the tall grass for cover and timed their movement with the patrols. Near the base, Cole split the team. 2 would circle left to plant charges on the power grid. 2 others would create a distraction at the far wall. The last one would stay back with the sniper rifle to provide cover. Cole would go inside. Alone. At 03:00 hours, the first explosion hit. A bright flash lit up the trees and part of the outer wall went dark. Soldiers shouted and scrambled. Sirens began to howl. At the same moment, gunfire echoed from the east wall where the distraction team fired a few shots before falling back into the shadows. Inside the base, lights flickered. Cole used the chaos to sneak past 2 guards and slip through a half-open gate. His body moved low and fast like a trained predator. He stayed near the walls, avoided cameras, and knocked out a lone patrol with silent strikes. He reached the command center in 7 minutes. Inside, General Sarek stood shouting at his staff. "Get the backup power online. Find the source of the breach." But it was already too late. The door burst open and Cole entered with a smoke grenade and a stolen blaster rifle. "Down!" he shouted in alien language. They froze. Some dropped their weapons. One reached for a panic button, but Cole shot the console first. Smoke filled the room. Chaos erupted. But Cole didn't fire wildly. He aimed carefully, dropping guards who reached for weapons and pushing officers to the floor with swift strikes. Then he grabbed Sarek and dragged him out through the smoke. Within minutes, Cole was gone. Outside the base, the smoke faded and alarms continued to scream. The Rovek soldiers were still searching the forest, confused and blind. But Cole was already 5 kilometers away, carrying General Sarek, now tied and unconscious. He met with his team at a hidden cave, deep in the rocks. The young fighters stared. In shock. "You actually did it?" one whispered. Cole nodded and dropped Sarek to the floor. "Now, we send a message." By midday, a small Rovek recon drone found the command base in total panic. The officers inside were dead or wounded. And scratched into the steel wall near the destroyed command room were 3 words: "He was here." Hours later, the Rovek High Command received a signal from an unknown location. It was a short video, only 10 seconds long. It showed General Sarek tied up but alive, and Cole's voice in the background said calmly, "End your war, or I will end your army." Then the screen went dark. The galaxy above started to notice. Across space stations, neutral planets, and observation ships, Cole's name was whispered. They called him the Ghost of Veltara, the human who hunts armies, the war ender. News channels played footage of the ruined bases he had destroyed. The Galactic Council, once amused by his drop into the war zone, now held emergency meetings. "Should we intervene?" one alien leader asked. "No," another said. "Let's watch. This is history." Back in Veltara, the Varn army also received the message. And something strange happened. Soldiers started leaving their posts. Some walked into Cole's territory with hands raised. Others sent messages asking for peace talks. Many had lost brothers, fathers, and friends in the war, and they saw in Cole a chance to end the cycle. Cole didn't promise freedom. He didn't pretend to be a savior, but he welcomed them. He trained them. He built a new force, not an army, but a group with a single goal: peace through pressure. In orbit, General Zavorn watched everything unfold with growing anger. This was supposed to be a joke, he said. Now it was a disaster. He slammed his fist on the table. "Send the shadow. Teams, all of them. I want that human dead." Cole knew the hunters would come, but he also knew something else. They were running out of time. The war was shaking, falling apart, and the planet Veltara, once filled with endless death, was slowly turning quiet. Because one human had been dropped into a war zone. And by now he had taken more than just ground. He had taken control of the story. The air above Veltara trembled as 4 sleek black ships entered the atmosphere. They moved without sound, almost invisible to radar. These were not normal dropships. These were Shadow-class hunters, designed for one task only: eliminate impossible threats. Inside each ship sat a deadly soldier, cloaked, silent, and trained to kill without mercy. They had never failed a mission. Their target now? One human named Cole. On the ground, Cole stood at the center of a small training field. Around him, nearly 30 young fighters practiced drills. Some were former enemies, some were locals. All of them now followed his leadership. He taught them more than just how to fight. He taught them how to survive smart, move quietly, and protect each other. "Don't waste bullets," Cole said. "War isn't about who shoots first. It's about who finishes last." One of the new recruits, Lara, a sharp-eyed girl from a Varn village, stepped closer and asked, "Why are you still here? You could leave. Escape." Cole looked at her serious. "Because if I leave, they'll keep fighting. But if I stay, I can end it." That answer was enough for her. But peace didn't last. That night, a strange humming sound came from the sky. The sound was low, hard to hear, But Cole recognized it. "Scatter," he shouted. The team jumped for cover just as a black object dropped into the forest nearby. It hit the ground hard but didn't explode. Instead, it opened, and something stepped out. A tall, armored figure, almost invisible under a stealth field, moved into the shadows. Cole's eyes narrowed. The hunters had arrived. He didn't panic. He moved fast, pulling his team back to a hidden cave system they had used before. The entrance was narrow, easy to defend. They lit no fires. They stayed low. Cole knew the hunters wouldn't attack like normal soldiers. They would wait. They would stalk. So Cole became the hunter. He left the cave alone, armed with only a blade and a light rifle. He used his old tricks, sound decoys, false trails, and dust markers to confuse their tracking systems. By dawn, one of the hunters was dead. His body was found hanging upside down from a tree, with a message carved into the bark below him. "One down." Back at the Rovek command ship, General Zavorn was furious. "How did he kill a shadow class?" he shouted. "They're ghosts." The officer looked nervous. "He's adapting, sir. Fast. Like he's learning each time we strike." Zavorn growled. "Send in all remaining hunters. I don't care about the cost. Burn that forest if you have to." Cole returned to the cave before sunrise. He was tired, bleeding from a cut on his side, but still standing. Lyra ran to him. "You're hurt." "I'm fine," he said, pressing a cloth to the wound. One of the boys asked, "Did you stop them?" Cole looked them all in the eye. "No. There are more, but we don't run. Not anymore." He handed out weapons and gave them orders. They would not hide this time. They would fight back. That evening, the battle began. 2 hunters tried to sneak into the cave, but Cole's team had set traps, explosive wire, trip bombs, and collapsing tunnels. One hunter stepped on a mine. The other was caught by falling rocks. Only one hunter remained now. The most dangerous one. This one didn't attack. It waited. And just before midnight, it made its move. A loud boom shook the forest as smoke grenades flooded the cave. The young fighters began to cough and shout but couldn't see anything. Lyra screamed, "They're inside!" Then everything went quiet. Cole had vanished. So had the last hunter. But not for long. The smoke began to clear, and out of the mist came Cole, dragging the lifeless body of the hunter behind him. He dropped it in the center of the cave. Silence fell. Everyone stared. He was covered in bruises, blood, and ash, but he was still breathing, and the hunter was not. Cole looked up at them all and said, "They're done. No more hunters. Now it's our turn." Word spread fast. 3 elite hunters killed. 1 captured. 1 defeated by hand. By a single human. Across the planet, both Rovek and Varn units began to question their orders. Commanders found it harder to keep control. Some soldiers even abandoned their posts, trying to find the human they had once feared. Because now, they wanted to follow him. In orbit, the Galactic Council held another meeting. One alien ambassador said, "He was dropped into a war zone for fun. Now he's leading a force stronger than both armies." Another added, "Should we remove him?" But the elder of the council shook his head. "No, the war was our mistake. Let him finish it." Back on the surface, Cole stood on a hill overlooking the largest Rovek base on the continent. He turned to Lyra and the others. "Tomorrow," he said, "we strike that base." "But we're outnumbered," someone whispered. Cole nodded. "Yes, but they're out of will. We broke their fear. Now we break their power." Lyra asked softly, "What if we fail?" Cole's eyes stared at the distant horizon. "Then we fall trying. But if we win, the war ends." And as the sun began to rise over Veltara once more, the wind carried the words that echoed through every camp, every base, every ear. He's still alive. He's still fighting. And now, he's coming. The sky above Veltara burned orange as the sun began to set. Smoke rose in the distance from destroyed outposts and fallen towers. The war was near its end, but the final strike still remained. Cole stood on top of a rock formation with his rifle. slung over his shoulder. Around him, more than 200 fighters waited silently. They were not just soldiers. They were people who had lost everything: families, homes, friends. And now, they had only one goal: end the war. Today. Down in the valley, the Rovek Central Fortress stood like a steel mountain, walls 30 meters high, turrets on every corner, and over 1,000 trained troops inside. It was the strongest base on the planet, and Cole planned to take it before sundown. He turned to his group. "This is it," he said calmly. "The last stronghold. If we take it, the war is over. No more pain, no more death." Lyra stepped forward. "But how? They have tanks, artillery, drones." Cole smiled faintly. "And we have them scared." His plan was simple but dangerous. The main force would create a distraction on the east side. A second team would disable the power grid. Meanwhile, Cole and a small squad would sneak in through the old sewer tunnels beneath the fortress. Abandoned, forgotten by the enemy. Once inside, they would take the command center. Without leadership, the base would fall into confusion. As the first shots rang out on the east wall, Rovek soldiers rushed to defend their position. Sirens screamed. Drones launched into the sky. But everything was going exactly how Cole wanted. Lyra's team had already reached the power grid. With one explosion, the lights in the base flickered and died. The automated defense systems powered down. Panic spread inside the fortress. And from beneath the earth, Cole emerged with 5 hand-picked fighters crawling through a dark tunnel and into a supply room. They were inside. The halls were quiet at first. Then came voices, shouting, running, confusion. Cole gave hand signals moving through shadows. He knew this layout. He had memorized every map, every patrol route. Step by step, they reached the command center door. 2 guards stood outside. Before they could speak, Cole and his team acted. 1 strike, 1 shot, and the guards were down. The door opened with a crackle. Inside, high-ranking officers turned in shock. Cole entered, weapon raised. "Stand down," he shouted. "The war ends now." One officer tried to draw a weapon. He was shot in the leg. Another froze in fear. Cole moved to the main control panel and transmitted a wide-range signal. "This is Cole." His voice echoed across every speaker in the fortress. "Your leaders are captured. Your systems are down. If you keep fighting, you'll die for nothing." He paused. "But if you stop now, if you lay down your weapons, you go home alive. Your families see you again. Your war is over." The room was silent. Then a voice from the outer speaker replied, "We surrender." Flags dropped. Weapons hit the floor. All across the fortress, Rovek soldiers raised their hands, and in that moment, Cole didn't feel victory. He felt relief. The storm had finally passed. Hours later, as the sun touched the horizon, Cole stood at the top of the captured fortress. The sky glowed red, casting shadows across the land. Lyra walked up beside him. "We did it," she whispered. Cole nodded. "Yes, you all did it." "Are they really stopping the war?" she asked. Cole pointed to the skies where several ships were landing, not attack ships, rescue and peace vessels from the Galactic Council. "They have no choice," he said. "The galaxy saw what happened here. They saw 1 human dropped into a war zone, and they saw what happened next." On news networks across space, his face appeared again. They played the message he broadcasted. They showed the empty battlefields, the surrendered bases, the massive fortress now in human hands. Some called it luck, some called it madness, but most called it a miracle. The Galactic Council made an official statement. The Veltara War is over. A ceasefire is declared. The human known as Cole has taken command of the planet. From this day, no further troops will be sent. And with that, the war finally ended. Cole didn't stay in the fortress. He returned to the forest with his team, built homes, cleared old ruins, and created something new. Not a base, not a camp, a beginning. People from both sides came to live there. Fighters laid down their weapons. Former enemies shook hands. Children played freely for the first time in years. And Cole? He finally rested. But legends don't die easily. Even years later, people told the story. They said, there was a war so deadly, no one could stop it. So they dropped one human in for fun. And by sundown, he took the whole planet.